All right, everyone, I believe we are live. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Thank you for tuning in today. It is a lovely Monday. It is September 8th, folks. We really do have some breaking, bombshell, crazy news, really great news, in my opinion, if you ask me. We have a lot to talk about today. So I want to say, first off, before we get to the content of today's broadcast, thank you all very much for tuning in today. We are live right now, Matt Morris TV on YouTube. We are live right now, Matt Morris TV on Rumble. Everybody go ahead and say hi, hello, what's up? Everybody, listen, President Trump has just flooded his very first far-left, radically progressive sanctuary city with federal law enforcement officers, namely ICE officers and DHS officers. And of course, the name of that city is Chicago, much to Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's dismay, much to Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker's dismay. ICE agents have flooded into the city as of just 3, 4, 5 hours ago, maybe 5 hours ago, a little bit earlier today. And so right now, folks, all of this stuff is unfolding right this very moment. So I want to get into this and break down exactly how stuff is unfolding right now, why things are going the way they currently are going, and where things are going to go over the next couple hours and over the next couple of days. So, folks, if you don't mind, let's just go ahead and jump right into the show. So, President Trump's operation here is called Operation Midway Blitz. The Trump administration has officially launched Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago, surging federal law enforcement officers into the city. Quote from the DHS: "This ICE operation will target the criminal illegal aliens who flocked to Chicago and to Illinois because they knew that Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker and his sanctuary city policies would protect them," and we're going to talk about that a lot today, "would protect them and allow them to roam free on American streets." Now, the reason why I did the little air quotes here when I said that infamous phrase, sanctuary city, is because really the only people who are being granted sanctuary are illegal alien, criminal, violent gang members, narco terrorists, cartel members, etc. If you are a good, honest, hardworking, tax-paying, just average American citizen living in Chicago or living in any one of these sanctuary cities across the entire country, is it really a sanctuary for you? No, your life is being flipped upside down. You are living in hell on earth, pretty much. Trust me, I grew up in the Portland, Oregon area, all up and down I-5, up and down the West Coast, San Francisco, Los Angeles. I mean, hell, we all saw what happens in Los Angeles a couple months ago. Take a look at that. A little bit of a reminder, okay? And we're going to talk about this here a little bit later today. But anyway, these sanctuary cities are anything but. Well, to be fair, they are sanctuaries for illegal alien criminals. But anyway, the federal agent surge is now underway. President Trump is now going to be liberating Chicago. Now, we have a little bit of a Fox News report, some on-the-ground reporting of what exactly is going on. So I want to watch this with you folks real quick. Chicago, Operation Midway Blitz is underway when city and state officials fail to protect their people from criminal illegal aliens. ICE is proud to step up and lead the charge. We are taking the worst of the worst off of the streets and out of our neighborhoods. This was posted just a couple hours ago by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, otherwise known as ICE. And let's go ahead and play the video here. Let's see what's going on down on the ground. By the way, though, real quick, first off, Super Chat in YouTube, he says, "Outstanding, JD 1989. Thank you, by the way. "Outstanding. I'm glad that President Trump is finally liberating the free people of Illinois from these invaders. Now get our gun rights back." I'm with you. I hope that what we're seeing here in Chicago, I'm going to show you what's going on. I'm hoping this is the first of many sanctuary states that is going to be liberated. I think we need to liberate all of these sanctuary city states. Thank you very much. Let's see what's going on.
Hi, Martha. The surge has begun. You can see the new ICE vehicles on the streets here in Chicago. We're just outside the Cook County Courthouse, but that surge is part of the ICE-led Operation Midway Blitz that they say is in honor of a beautiful young Chicago woman, Katie Abraham, who was killed by an illegal alien drunk driver back in January of this year. And while we are getting reaction from Illinois Senator Dick Durbin, who says that this blitz won't make Chicagoans safer, let me show you this video. Early this morning, I was out with one of ICE's teams, and we arrested this individual. His name is Juan Gaspar, and he is a 43-year-old illegal alien from Mexico. He has been convicted in 2024 of forcibly sexually assaulting a child under the age of 13.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what? I actually have a crazy idea. I think this guy should not be deported. You know, we're talking about sending Juan here, the child sexual predator, back to Mexico, the country he came from. I actually don't think that Juan should be deported. I think something else should be done in this situation.
He was taken, as you can see here, without incident, but this is all part of the exact sort of violent criminal illegal alien that the ICE operations hope to bring in, apprehend, and ultimately deport. We were riding along with ICE's Deputy Director, Madison Sheehan. She talked a little bit about this operation to us, as well as what she has to say to the Democrats that are criticizing it. Listen.
This is an opportunity for us to go into sanctuary cities and work against these sanctuary city policies and not let them deter ICE from being able to do our work, to go after the worst of the worst, just like the guy behind me who committed sexual assault against a minor. I mean, these criminal aliens have wreaked havoc on the American people for years, and that time is over. And even when we have pushback from Democrat leadership, that's not going to stop us. We're going to continue to go after the worst of the worst, just like somebody who committed sexual assault against a minor.
And of course, these senior ranking Democrats, it was Senator Durbin, I think they referenced a moment ago. What did he say? He had to say that this ICE raid, Operation Midway Blitz, it's not even going to make Chicago any safer. Really, it's not even going to do anything. Listen, if these illegal aliens were never in the country in the first place, never in Chicago specifically in the first place, then this young girl below the age of 13, I don't know how old she was, would never have been sexually assaulted. You're telling me that you are, it's like, listen, okay, let's just, I'm sorry, pardon my language, let's cut the shit. How many more American citizens need to be brutalized, sexually assaulted, human trafficked, overdose on fentanyl and die? How many more Americans need to lose their lives or have their dignity stolen from them? How many more Americans need to suffer before the senior ranking before the Democrats get a grip and say, you know what? Okay, President Trump is right. This is a problem. How many more? Another 1,000, another 100,000? How many more Americans need to die? Another 1 million Americans? Maybe if 1 million Americans die at the hands of illegal aliens, then maybe enough is enough for the Democrats. It's like, how much longer does this need to go on before they get a freaking grip, right? Sorry.
And this is just day one, Martha.
Good.
We understand this could go on for weeks as they surge more ICE personnel as well as federal law enforcement partners. Martha?
We are surging. And so far, it is only federal law enforcement officers. It's DHS. We have some FBI on the ground, I believe. And we have, of course, the ICE agents all over the place. Thank God for that. Now, Dave Harvey, massive super chat in YouTube. He says, speak it, brother. Okay, I'm happy you guys feel the same way. Okay, we're on the same page. Sometimes I'm worried I go a little bit crazy sometimes. No, we're on the same page. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Everybody's been talking about the National Guard. Is President Trump going to deploy the National Guard into the streets of Chicago? President Trump himself has been talking about that. What are we going to do? Maybe we're going to do something here. My dog is going crazy. Maybe my wife can come downstairs and get that dog under control. Sorry, I don't know if you guys heard that. But anyway, no National Guard yet. Keyword yet. Maybe it's going to happen in the future. Okay? Now, this was posted a couple hours ago by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, on their official X page. They said, Chicago, a sanctuary city that attracts and protects criminal illegal aliens to the detriment of law-abiding citizens. In an ICE-led operation, we are here to remove these dangerous public safety threats from American communities. Take a look at this. They are down there on the streets of Chicago. Yep, that's Chicago. There's a nice ICE wagon. Good. Defend the homeland. Yeah, true. Now, there's an article I want to read with you guys. Speaking about the type of people that ICE is in Chicago hunting down, get them out of here. ICE actually issued a list of fugitive illegal alien gang members, kidnappers, some really bad people, okay, protected, that have so far been protected by this, Chicago and Illinois sanctuary state policies. So I want to go ahead and take a look at really just how bad this problem is. Why? There's a lot of really messed up cities in this country. All of them are operated by Democrats, by the way, pretty much. Chicago is one of the worst ones, but okay, so why Chicago specifically? Well, take a look at this. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, is calling out Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, whom agency officials accuse of protecting criminal illegal aliens accused of kidnapping. Some of the worst stuff ever. Gang membership, among other crimes. On Monday, ICE officials released a list of criminal illegal aliens across the sanctuary state of Illinois who have been shielded from arrest and deportation, and in some cases, released back onto the streets. This seems to be a trend, seems to be kind of a common denominator here. You have these repeat criminals. Some of them are American citizens. A lot of the time, they're illegal aliens, though. They reoffend, they reoffend, they reoffend, and you have these progressive judges and district attorneys that are releasing these habitual offenders over and over and over again. There's no accountability. In fact, we saw this the other day. There was this beautiful young Ukrainian woman, immigrant here, refugee from Ukraine. Her name was Irina something. I'm blanking on it. Some Eastern European last name, who was stabbed on the subway. This was in North Carolina, I believe, Charlotte, I think. Anyway, you all saw the video. In fact, we talked about this just the other day. 2 days ago, we covered this on the show. And this guy, this brutal, mentally ill, violent criminal who murdered this beautiful young woman on the subway, he was a repeat offender, right? He was in and out of prison over and over and over again since 2007. And he never really had to face accountability. In fact, he was known to be violent and just released over and over and over again. And so same situation, released back onto the streets. Nobody ever has to face accountability if you're living in a blue state or a blue city. Take a look at this. So these are some of the worst offenders we have. Gabriel Valle Galvez, a 47-year-old criminal illegal alien from Mexico with convictions for battery, aggravated assault, DUI, trespassing, criminal damage, public indecency, violation of order of protection, and multiple assaults. He's been released over and over again. Each time the Cook County Jail refused to honor the detainer, the ICE detainer, and released him over and over again. Disgusting. Javier Casillas Gomez, a 46-year-old criminal illegal alien from Mexico. Convictions for procuring prostitution, domestic violence and assault, drug possession, active warrant for drug manufacturing. ICE lodged an arrest detainer. Cook County Jail didn't care. There's like 10 more of these. How many of these? I'll just skip around. Carlos Yohende Gonzalez Montero, a 36-year-old criminal illegal alien from Venezuela and a Tren de Aragua gang member with charges for reckless conduct, aggravated assault with a weapon, and armed violence. This gang member was released after Cook County Jail ignored ICE detainers. I am reading through this list is actually making me even more radical than I was. I thought I was already sort of a right-wing radical. Now I'm even more of a right-wing radical because I'm reading this list. Listen, now not only do I want every single one of these illegal aliens apprehended, detained, deported, maybe even something worse for some of these guys, but you know what? Everybody in the legal system, in the American legal and judicial system that was complicit in turning a blind eye to the criminal behavior of these illegal aliens, these American people need to be held accountable as well. Listen, if you were if you're the judge, or you're the DA, or you're whatever, you're the attorney, whatever, whoever is involved in this, in releasing these people back onto the streets where they reoffend, they kill more Americans, they brutalize more Americans. We need justice in that regard. Also, these people, I'm gonna go ahead and call them traitorous, subversive Americans, whatever. These people need to be held accountable too, because it's on their shoulders also. And you can see this is I don't know what, 10 to 15 names here. Pedro Enrique Colmenares Gonzalez, 34-year-old criminal illegal alien from Venezuela, another Tren de Aragua gang member with a past criminal history of aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, sexual assault, domestic battery, and kidnapping. He was released multiple times despite ICE lodging a detainer. You know what that means? ICE heard about this guy. ICE said, hey, don't release him. This guy is dangerous. If you do release him, he will reoffend. He will continue to brutalize Americans. And Chicago said, yeah, we're going to release him. But you know what? We're going to go ahead and release him anyway. Dude, enough is enough. Enough is enough. This problem has got to be solved. Somebody says Dredd. Who here has seen the movie Judge Dredd? Do we need a bunch of judges, roaming through the streets of Chicago on their motorcycles? Listen, Judge Dredd, please save us. We need Judge Dredd to save the country. It's the only way, because this problem, this is out of freaking control. This is out of control. With the list of illegal aliens protected by Illinois sanctuary state policy, ICE announced Operation Midway Blitz, which will focus its efforts on arresting illegal aliens who have used such sanctuary city policies to evade federal agents. Yeah. The operation is in honor of 20-year-old Katie Abraham, 20 years old, of Illinois, who was killed by an illegal alien drunk driver. I'm just taking a look at that article here. Imagine your sister or your daughter or your girlfriend or whatever, your friend, is a 20-year-old girl, Katie Abraham, who's driving around town, and she gets killed by an illegal alien drunk driver. She lost her life for no reason. Who was from Guatemala, who was getting refuge in the sanctuary state of Illinois under Governor J.B. Pritzker's leadership, under his radically progressive leadership. Lord have mercy. This operation will target the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens in Chicago. The Department of Homeland Security's Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement not too long ago. For years, Governor Pritzker and his fellow sanctuary city politicians have released Tren de Aragua gang members. Some of these people, really bad people, kidnappers, drug traffickers, back onto Chicago's streets, putting American lives at risk and making Chicago a magnet for criminals, said McLaughlin from the DHS. So you guys know how this works, right? If criminals or drug addicts or homeless people, if they figure out that there is a city here or a city there that is light on crime, that will aid and abet them and maybe even give them free government handouts, subsidies, whatever, then yeah, it's a magnet. Those people, they will, you have people, I'll give you an example. Okay, I'm from Portland, Oregon. When Portland, Oregon decriminalized drug use 8 or 9 years ago, I don't know if you know this, in Portland, Oregon, all throughout Oregon, at most you get a misdemeanor. You could be smoking methamphetamine on the side of the road in broad daylight on a summer afternoon right in front of a police officer. And at most you would get a misdemeanor. So these drugs have been effectively decriminalized really all up and down the West Coast. And so what has happened since that piece of legislation was passed, you have drug addicted people that have migrated from all across the country explicitly into these states because they know, well, listen, hey, in Portland, I can smoke meth and not get in trouble for it. All right, I'm going to move to Portland because I'm a meth head, right? That's how it works. That is what has happened in mass. And the same thing for some of these sanctuary cities also, where you'll have violent, illegal, alien, criminal gang members, narco-terrorists, Tren de Aragua from Venezuela. They will intentionally and explicitly migrate to cities like Chicago because they know that these cities are a safe haven, a refuge for them and their criminal behavior. That's how this operates. And so the problem just totally spirals out of control. President Trump and President Trump and Secretary Noem have a very clear message. No city is a safe haven for criminal, illegal aliens. If you come to our country illegally and if you break our laws, we will hunt you down, we will arrest you, deport you, and you will never return. And you know what? Thank God for that. Finally, we have somebody in the White House that is taking these sanctuary cities to task. It is just astounding. It's evil that nobody has ever confronted these sanctuary cities ever in the last 60 years. Really, sanctuary cities started first popping up in the second half of the 1960s, as I'm sure a lot of you folks know. And the problem has just gotten worse. It's totally out of hand. These sanctuary cities are working in direct and open defiance of federal legislation, namely federal immigration legislation. And thank God we are shutting this down. These sanctuary cities have pushed the envelope so far. So many Americans have been brutalized and died and human trafficked as a consequence of these just insane sanctuary city policies. Thank God we are shutting them down. Now, however, they're not going down without a fight, because Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker here, who, in my opinion, I think he looks a lot like Jabba the Hutt from Star Wars. Maybe he is a Hutt operating on the outer rim of the known star system. I don't know. Anyway, Illinois Governor Jabba the Hutt, he had to say, illegals are our neighbors and our friends. If anybody would be the invaders, it would be the National Guard, he had to say. But here in Illinois, we love illegal aliens. They are our neighbors. They are our friends. Let's see what he had to say. Illinois radical Democrat Governor J.B. Pritzker, who in January called illegal aliens our neighbors and our friends. In August, he said that if the U.S. military personnel were deployed in Chicago, it would be, quote, an invasion. If the National Guard goes in to help apprehend these illegal aliens, he will consider it to be an invasion. Now, by the way, real quick, I see over here in the Rumble chat, we're live on Rumble, Matt Morse TV. This is from Missile Silo. Thank you very much over in Rumble. I appreciate that a lot. Says, happy birthday, Plathy. Congrats on the new home. I love your journalism work. Matt, Missile Silo, thank you very much. A couple days ago, maybe 3 days ago, my wife turned 30. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm happy you remember. Thank you, and I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. The governor of Illinois is so dedicated to illegal aliens over his own citizens that he has characterized law-breaking illegals who have flooded the country as, quote, our neighbors and our friends, and says it is disturbing that President Trump is enforcing the United States immigration laws that Democrats had previously supported for decades, Politico reported in January. So, as a little bit of a reminder, we live in a constitutional republic, a democratic republic, whatever you want to call it. I think all of these terms are proper or correct. Anyway, the point is, okay, we, through some form of democratic process, we have House representatives, we have a president, we have a bunch of senators that we all vote for to put them in the Capitol building. You know, we, over the last couple of years, we have collectively, as an American people, we have democratically passed a series of immigration laws. We, the American people, have passed immigration legislation saying, hey, listen, we want to have a border. Hey, listen, we don't want to be flooded by never-ending waves of immigrants from the third world illegally. Hey, listen, we don't want everybody to be coming in the country in an unregulated fashion. We actually do want to be an autonomous nation and have a secure, safe border. And these are ideas that we have democratically agreed on together as an American people. Now, these sanctuary city mayors and sanctuary state governors, they have said, yeah, we understand that the American people have gotten together and voted to have a robust immigration system, but you know what? We just don't care. You know what? We are not only going to open up the border, but also we are going to aid and abet all of these violent, criminal, illegal aliens coming in our country in direct defiance of what the American people have explicitly said that they want. They're saying, screw the American people, screw what the American people want. Who cares? We're doing our own thing, which is opening up the border and allowing these people to live in our sanctuary cities. Let's keep reading here. Appearing State of the Union, the extremist Democrat said Trump's policies are going after people who are law-abiding, who are holding down jobs, who have families here, who may have been here for a decade or 2 decades, and they're often our neighbors and our friends. Now, I have to say this real quick. You hear this from people on the left. Well, what if, yeah, they may be an illegal alien, but come on, what if they've been here for 2 decades? Are you really going to deport somebody, some illegal alien that's been in the country for 27 years? Really? And I'm like, yeah. Listen, I don't care if you illegally snuck in the country 50 years ago. I do not care if you snuck across the border in 1981. I don't care. You need to go. Every single one of them. All of them. Okay, let's keep on reading. So yeah, they're all getting deported. Thank you. Pritzker also celebrated the laws in Illinois that contravenes federal immigration laws. Quote, we have a law on the books in Illinois that says that our local law enforcement will stand up for those law-abiding, undocumented people in our states who are doing the right thing. Listen, Pritzker, they actually are not doing the right thing by definition of being in the country illegally. That is, in fact, technically speaking, the wrong thing. He said, quote, and we're not going to help federal officials just drag them away because they are in the U.S. illegally. I am so sick of these people. I'm so sick of the illegal aliens. I'm so sick of these far left radical progressives that have been playing coverage for them. I am so sick of this. In a September 6th post on X, Pritzker touted state efforts to train illegal aliens on how to avoid being held responsible for breaking the law. Excuse me? Pritzker is bragging about holding workshops in which he is teaching illegal aliens how to avoid being legally held accountable for invading the country. Okay. Pritzker also claimed that Trump's immigration policies are, quote, an attack on the American people, despite the fact that illegal aliens are not the American people. True. In fact, they are not. President Trump has been considering a plan of bringing U.S. National Guard troops into Chicago, one of the most dangerous cities in America and the entire world for that matter, to crack down on crime like he did in Washington, D.C. However, Chicago's left-wing mayor Brandon Johnson, listen, folks, I talk about, I cover the news every single day. I'm keeping tabs on all these politicians, left, right, doesn't matter on what. Listen, Mayor Brandon Johnson, I think, is one of the. I'm sorry, I'm about to be incredibly rude. Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago, I think, is probably one of the stupidest, lowest IQ, most incompetent, idiotic politicians that we have in this entire country. And by the way, that is a very competitive category because we have a lot of low IQ, stupid, incompetent politicians in this country. You've got Jasmine Crockett. You've got Ilhan Omar. You've got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You've got all these. Listen, I think Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago, he might be the number one. And really, we need to give him a round of applause because that is a very highly competitive category. And I think he is taking the trophy there. And then there's Pritzker. Pritzker said, it's clear that, in secret, they're planning this. Well, it's an invasion with U.S. troops if they, in fact, do that, he told CBS. Once again, so far, folks, there are no National Guard troops deployed in Chicago. So far, it's DHS, I think some FBI, and also a bunch of ICE officers. National Guard, not yet. We're going to talk about the National Guard, what's going on with them in just a minute. The governor, Pritzker, told CBS that we should, quote, we should understand that Trump has other aims other than fighting crime. Like what? and claimed without evidence that Trump wants to, quote, stop the elections in 2026 or, frankly, take control of those elections. Yeah, because President Trump, he's such a threat to democracy. Trump is a threat to democracy, says the guy who is aiding and abetting God knows how many thousands or tens of thousands of illegal aliens in his city. Says the Democrats who opened up the border and deliberately allowed 25 million of these people into the country. They never should have been here. Trump is a threat to democracy. Come on, give me a freaking break. I am so happy that the American people, that's you, that's me, that's all of us, nobody is buying this anymore, right? Maybe a couple people are. I don't know. Maybe you do have some people on the far left, the incompetent left. They are sitting here. Yeah, Trump is a threat. Yeah, Trump is a threat to democracy. I think most people are not buying this anymore. I think it's fair to say everybody knows if anybody is a threat to democracy, if anybody is causing a constitutional crisis, as they love to say, it's the Democrats. Let's just be brutally honest about that. Pritzker also blasted Trump as a, quote, wannabe dictator. Yeah. And said, quote, the president of the United States is threatening to go to war with an American city. This is not normal. Donald Trump isn't a strong man. He's a scared man. Illinois won't be intimidated by a wannabe dictator. You know, even just as if you look at this type of rhetoric from a political strategy point of view, they have these people like Pritzker, the far left radicals, the Democrats, they have been calling Donald Trump a dictator since 2015. 10 years. They have been calling this guy a dictator. Has it ever worked one time? No, it doesn't work. Nobody cares. Nobody buys it. Nobody gives a crap. And so you would think just from a strategy perspective, from a political strategy perspective, at some point they would realize, maybe just calling Donald Trump a fascist Nazi dictator, maybe it doesn't work. Maybe we need to try something else. They've been doing it and failing for 10 years. Nobody cares. Nobody is buying their incompetent, stupid narrative. So anyway, that's Pritzker. Now, I'll tell you folks here, President Trump seems to me, this is my opinion on all of this, seems like President Trump kind of has a secret plan going on here. Okay, so like we said, President Trump has not deployed the National Guard yet. I hope he does. I want to see the National Guard on the streets of Chicago, just like we saw in Los Angeles. That was very beneficial for Los Angeles a couple months ago during those crazy riots. This is what I'm talking about. However, Donald Trump has not deployed the National Guard yet. Why? I think he has sort of laid a little bit of a trap. I think it's fair to say Trump has set some bait for the far left radical progressives in Chicago. And what I mean by that is this. Earlier today, Trump has now deployed hundreds, maybe thousands of ICE agents. I'm not sure exactly how many. Anyway, onto the streets of Chicago, DHS, FBI on the streets. He has flooded the city with federal enforcement agents. And now I think he's waiting to see what are the Democrats going to do? What are the far left radical progressives in Chicago? How are they going to react? This is what they were doing a couple days ago. I don't have audio for this clip here, but take a look. This is what was going on in Chicago 3 days ago, I believe. They're protesting. They're out here. And so this is what I think is going to happen here. I would bet money that in the next couple days, these people here in Chicago are going to break out in riots. Now here, a couple days ago, they were protesting. They're marching around town, chanting and screaming. I would suspect that they start freaking out and rioting now that they've got ICE in their city. At which point, we saw that in Los Angeles. At which point, what happens if they take the bait? What happens if they actually go crazy and start rioting and smashing up property and setting vehicles on fire? What happens next is now that is a pretense for a National Guard deployment. At that point, inarguably, undeniably, the pretense has been given for a National Guard deployment because now these people are burning up the city. And so that is why I think that Trump is doing things in the way he is. He's not deploying National Guard right out of the gate. No, he's maybe saying, all right, we're going to send a bunch of ICE agents, DHS and FBI into the city. We're going to start nabbing. We're going to start apprehending the most deadly, terrible, these guys, this big list these guys right here. We're going to start ripping these guys out of the city. And then depending on what the far left radical progressives do in Chicago, if they protest, if they riot, if they're blowing stuff up, lighting cars on fire, then guess what? Then it's time for the National Guard, because the pretense and the justification has been given. And so that's where I think we're going. That's what we're going to have to, we're keeping tabs on this over the next couple days. It's Monday. I told you Monday of this week, it's going to be a big day. And I told you now it is. Now we know. Okay. Operation Midway Blitz is underway, and we're going to be keeping tabs on this every single day as we move forward. But folks, that's all I have for you guys today. I want to say thank you all very much for tuning in. That's going to be a wrap for today's news. We are going to be keeping very close tabs on what is going on over the next couple days. I think a lot is going to be happening with this Operation Midway Blitz, but really right now, the ball is kind of in their court. We got to see what the far left radicals in Chicago are going to do about this. I would suspect they end up getting a little bit crazy. We're going to have to find out. Now, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in today. We have been live on Rumble, Matt Morris TV, and on YouTube, Matt Morris TV. Everybody, I have one final request before all of you take off for the day and enjoy the rest of your evening. Make sure to follow me, my page here on X. I'm going to post a link to it right there on YouTube and a link to it right there on Rumble. Matt Morris TV everywhere. I appreciate the support, folks. I hope everybody here has a great Monday night and a great Tuesday morning. And I'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. Western and 7 p.m. Eastern. We are here 7 days a week. Thank you all very much. I hope you guys enjoyed today's broadcast. I'm doing my best keeping tabs on what's going on. So keep on coming back, and we're going to keep